Shabbat Shalom, Hebrew Israelite family, glory and honor to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, the creator of all things, the one who is above all things and has all time in his hands. Glory and honor to Father Yahweh. Glory and honor to Messiah, Yahweh Shai, appointed by the Father as a high priest after the order of Melchizedek, and a king of this planet Earth, as well as the prophet of all prophets, in that through him all prophecy comes from the Father to the Messiah, to us. Glory and honor to Yahweh Shai, Mashiach, glory and honor to Father Yahweh, and greetings to the 12 tribes awakening throughout the earth of the children of Abraham, Isaac, and finally Jacob, whose name was changed to Yashar, and to the precious souls, not of the bloodline, but have accepted the Hebrew Messiah and the Heavenly Father and the chosen people of the Father, those Gentiles from the other nations that have joined us. Blessings and greetings. Greetings to the chat, Sister JJ, Sister Love Blue, Yafi, Isha Shama and Frankie, Brother Castle King, Brother Gary Joseph Ascended Awakening, Sister Daniels, Brother Stephen Kelly, Brother Baldy, Two Shots Pronto, Brandon Beckman, Sister Psalm 119, Brother Akawan Banya. Greetings to all of you. So we are in now Romans chapter 3, and it starts off with, what advantage had the Jew? Very important question. And as Paul is getting ready, as we're getting into this epistle of Romans, and I said an epistle is basically a letter, and Paul breaks it piece by piece and builds up his point, and he's beginning to do that now in chapter 3. I want to turn first to Isaiah chapter 5. Isaiah chapter 5. And I'm going to begin at verse 1 of Isaiah chapter 5. And let's see. I'm going to go from verse 1 and go down to verse 7. This is Isaiah chapter 5, from verse 1 to verse 7. Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes being uncultivated, untrained grapes, versus the cultivated and trained grapes that he had planted. Verse 3. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes? And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression. For righteousness, but behold, a cry. So this is the prophecy in the form of a parable where the Father, through his prophet Isaiah, is comparing the house of Israel to a vineyard. And Messiah, as you know, did the same thing. He compared the house of Israel to a vineyard. And he said, here that he expected grapes. So when you plant a vineyard, you're bringing forth quality grapes. You want quality grapes if you want to make wine or you want to eat the grapes, but they have to be of a quality. They can't just be uncultivated, untrained. Those are wild grapes. Can't do nothing with those. But you cultivate the grape so that it comes the way you want it to come, so that it makes the wine you want it to make. So he said he did everything he could for the house of Israel. He set them up. He put a hedge about them. He put a wine press in the middle. He took all the stones out, and he was looking for good grapes, and it was wild grapes. So he did all he could for the nation to bear good fruit, and it brought forth uncultivated fruit. And we know why. Because they started worshiping other gods. They were greedy. Greed is a major thing. They were greedy. They started worshiping other gods, and they became corrupted. And then, of course, what he said he was going to do, he was going to lay it waste, and it was not going to be pruned nor digged. He was going to have no rain upon it. It was going to be trodden down. And this is why a lot of Christians will claim Israel, the true Israel, is no more the chosen people because of what he allowed to happen. But again, if you look in chapter 4, verses 2, 3, and 4. And let's read again the same Isaiah, this time chapter 4, verses 2, 3, and 4. In that day shall the branch of Yahweh be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. And when Yahweh shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof, by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning, Yahweh will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion and upon her assemblies a cloud and a smoke by day and the shining of a flaming fire by night, for all the glory shall be a defense. In verse 6, and there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime or from heat, and for a place of refuge, for a covert from storm and from rain. So he has two different scenarios here. So people seem to focus on the worst one and not understand that there's another one coming behind it. Again, it's how Christians do. They focus on just one or two verses and they make a whole doctrine out of it without understanding the whole concept of what the Bible is talking about. So in reality, the Most High is not casting away his people forever, but he's allowed them to be placed in chattel slavery, the worst type of slavery, until the times of the Gentiles that put them in that slavery are fulfilled. Those of us now awakening can understand this. Why? Because we read the whole Bible, and we ask for the Father's Spirit to guide us in the whole Bible. Praise the Most High. The thing is, I was listening to a brother today on YouTube, and he was talking about, the title of the video was, Does God Hate Black People? And he was talking about how Caucasians have misused the Bible to justify their oppressive slavery of us. And he was pointing out certain verses here and there, but at the end, he still was questioning the authenticity of the Bible. And the thing is, I saw in the comments a lot of atheists. That's why I'm an atheist. Blah, 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 blah. And look, I can understand. Christianity will lead a lot of people away. There's no doubt. That's what the Bible talks about. False pastors that lead people away from the Most High. But you have to be a fool when you look at how a baby is formed in a woman's womb from seed of a man, or how the human body is put together with millions of veins, arteries, and all of the different mechanisms that our internal organs do, and the brain itself. And you look into the sky and see the height of the sun, the moon, the stars, and the sky spread all over the earth, and not understand that there's a creator. You have to be just cutting off your nose to spite your face. You got to be a fool. Okay. I could understand if you are, angry at organized religion. It makes sense. I mean, we're not into organized religion ourselves. That's why we find. But this is the thing that many of us who are disgusted with organized religion don't understand. The Bible is written for us and by us. It is for the Hebrews. It is by the Hebrews. See, when you understand that, it looks different. And then take it a step further when you understand we are the Hebrews. So the Bible is written for us. Fubu is for us. That's right. It's Fubu. It's for us, by us. And wait a minute, we need to add one more, brother. AU. Fubu AU. What is that? For us, by us, about us. Is that all right? Is that all right, Castle King? Is that all right? It's for us, by us, about us. When you understand that, and I think all of us here who have been awakened can surely understand. When you have this knowledge come to you that the Bible, this King James, is for us, by us, about us. When you see that, it all looks different. It all looks different. Every page, everything looks different. When you understand the Apostle Paul was a black man. When you understand the Messiah is a black man. You understand Adam was a black man. When you understand this, and then you start looking at Isaiah or Ezekiel and understand those are brothers that wrote that. And they were talking about us, brothers. See, this is the thing. It was an amazing thing to the apostles that the Europeans should get the gospel. It wasn't like no light thing. It was a major thing that the Europeans were permitted to partake in the gospel. Because at first the Hebrews thought it was only to them. And in fact, if you recall, when the Messiah first sent them out, he said, don't go in the way of the Gentiles. He said, only go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So of course, they would come to the conclusion, this is not for them heathen. This is for us. But then Peter, of course, was the first one that was shown that there were going to be Europeans allowed into the kingdom with us. And then Paul not only was shown, but found the scriptures that points to that. And then whereby probably before they couldn't understand it, now they understood it. Okay. But Gentiles coming among the Hebrews is not the first object of the Father's movements in the Bible. This is why Paul always says, what? To the Jew first. The object when he delivered our fathers from Egypt wasn't to deliver Egyptians, although some Egyptians came out with them. The object wasn't to deliver Egyptians from Egypt. The object was to recover Hebrews from Egypt. And the object of the kingdom is going to be a Hebrew Israelite kingdom. When you understand this, see, then it tears off all the falsehoods of white Jesus, Christianity, tears off all the falsehoods. Okay? All the falsehoods. And you see the Bible completely different. Okay? Completely different. When you understand when it says that the beast power would, well, how did it put it? It said the beast power would cast down the truth to the ground, practice and prosper. It would destroy the mighty and the holy people. Well, you understand, it said, and it was given to him to make war with the saints and overcome them. Then you understand why there was a slavery. Then you understand why we were under their thumb. It says it was given to him to make war with the saints. When you understand, it's for us, by us. We're the saints that is talking about. We are the saints. This ain't no church member from the Pentecostal church. This ain't no church member from the Mormon church or the SDA church. We're the saints. So he said, well, it was, let me put it to you, if you don't mind, in the modern vernacular so that you could maybe clearer see. I'm talking to people that may not know what I'm saying here. May have heard this for the first time. So let me put it in the modern vernacular. Okay. It was given to him to make war with the black people and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. Does that make you hear it a little clearer? It was given him to make war with all the people of color, all the melanated people. See, when you understand that, oh, yeah, us. And then it says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of the Hebrew seed, that is the remnant of the black people. Not all black people, though. No, which keep the commandments of Yahweh and have the testimony of the Messiah. See, that you can see that, right? That vernacular. It's like what my man Malcolm X would say. They would say, why do you use the word Negro if you don't believe that Negro should be used? And he said, I use it against my will. And he said, what you mean? He said, when I'm standing in the room of black people and I say Negro, everybody in the room knows what I'm talking about because that was the vernacular at the time, right? So you're looking at the Bible and some of these Caucasians and the white Jesus that made you think they're the saints, right? No. For us, by us, about us. They come also. They come also. If they act right. Let me say, if they act right. See, you cannot be saved if you are a hater of the chosen people of the Creator. Let me say that again. I mean, doesn't that make sense, y'all? If any persons hate the chosen people of the Creator is not with them. You hear me? So, and in fact, let's look at some scripture, shall we? Genesis. This is Moses. Genesis chapter 12. Genesis chapter 12. Genesis chapter 12, verse 2 and 3. Genesis chapter 12, verse 2 and 3. And I will make of thee, he tells Abraham, a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So if it is indeed that this word is for us, by us, and about us, then if he's going to bless them that bless us and curse them that curse us, it's very plain what's going to happen to our enemies. I mean, very plain, is not? Very plain what's going to happen to our enemies. Very plain. Let's see another Moses. Let's see another Moses. Same witness Moses, but I love this one because this is Balak and Balaam talking about us. But the Father has something for them. So look, Numbers 24, verse, let me see, Numbers 24. I'm going to start at verse 9, talking about, I'm going to start at verse 8. Numbers 24 from verse 8 down to verse 9. Yahweh brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. He shall eat up the nations, his enemies, and shall break their bones and pierce them through with his arrows. He lay down as a lion, as a great lion. Who shall stir him up? Blessed is he that blesseth thee, and cursed is he that curseth thee. That's Moses now. Well, Moses is done away with. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at Isaiah. Let's take a look at Isaiah. For us, by us, about us. Let's take a look at Isaiah chapter 61. For us, by us, about us. Isaiah 61. Let me see here. Oh, okay. I'm gonna start. I mean, I could do a whole bunch here, but I'm gonna start at verse 5, and I'm gonna go from verse 5 down to verse 9. This is Isaiah 61 from 5 to 9. And strangers shall stand and feed your flock. Strangers mean heathen. It's in the kingdom. And strangers shall stand and feed your flocks. For us, by us, about us. Strangers shall stand and feed your flocks. And the sons of the alien, let me, if you would allow me, let me use some modern vernacular to help you out with this. Okay? Europeans shall stand and feed your flocks. And the sons of the Europeans shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But ye, the black man, shall be named priests of Yahweh. Men shall call you ministers of the Most High. Ye shall eat the riches of the Europeans, and in their glory shall ye boast yourselves. For your shame, Hebrews, ye shall have double. And for confusion, they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore, in their land, they shall possess the double. Everlasting joy shall be unto them, the Hebrews. For I, Yahweh, love judgment and hate robbery for burnt offering, and will direct their work in truth, and will make them an everlasting covenant. Look at everlasting covenant with them, the Hebrews, the black people. And their seed shall be known among the Europeans, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which Yahweh hath blessed. How's that? How's that? Wait. The Old Testament is no good, right? Let me give you Jesus. Let's talk about it. Let's look at Jesus. Let's look at Jesus. Did you know what Jesus said? Luke chapter 21. Luke chapter 21. Luke chapter 21. This is the third witness. And of course, you know, I can give you many. I could give you a whole lot of more. But I'm going to keep it simple for you. Okay. Luke chapter 21. I am going to, again, let me read it as it says, and then let's read it so that people can understand in the modern vernacular. I'm going to start at verse 21, and I'm going to come from verse 21 down to verse 24. Luke chapter 21. Oh, yes. Luke chapter 21, from verse 21 to verse 24. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Let me help you all out, if you don't mind. Then let the Hebrews, let the black people which are in Judah flee to the mountains. And let the black people that are in the midst of it depart out. And let the black people that are in the countries enter thereunto. For these be days of vengeance, that all things which are written in the scriptures may be fulfilled. But woe unto the Hebrews that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon the black people. But wait, there's more. And they, that is the black people, shall fall by the edge of the sword, and the black people shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Europeans until the times of the Europeans are fulfilled. There you go, baby. There you go. So now you see, it's for us, by us, about us. What we are watching in Romans is Paul, one of us, going to the Europeans and trying to put the gospel net out there to see which of them are predestined to come to the truth. Which of them are predestinated to come to the truth. Okay? Listen, let me ask you all a question. Have y'all ever heard, tell me the truth now, if you ain't heard it, tell me, that the people that don't have melanin in their skin, that even their scientists say it's a recessive gene that causes them to have a lack of melanin. Have y'all heard that? Or am I making that up? Their scientists say there's a recessive gene that causes them not to have melanin. Like, in other words, they're naturally supposed to have melanin. Their eyes are naturally supposed to be brown, but there's a recessive gene among them that causes them to be pale. Now, this recessive gene is obviously not done of the creator. This is because of sin, right? So sin came and it made some people deaf, some people blind, some people have recessive genes, right? That's just the way it is. That's in the gene pool. The gene pool got messed up because of sin, right? Okay, well, wait. We're going to get new bodies, though. The Bible said that. In the twinkling of an eye, we're going to get new bodies, celestial bodies. Guess what? There won't be any recessive genes. What do y'all think? There won't be no recessive genes in the new bodies. The new celestial bodies are going to be perfect. There'll be no recessive gene. There'll be no blind, no lame, no deaf, no recessive gene. Well, what does that mean? That means that in the earth made new, in the kingdom, there's going to be melanated people. Even the Europeans that get to the kingdom with us are going to inherit melanin. So they're not going to be pale anymore. Look at that. Look at that. Praise the Most High. There won't be any more recessive genes, no more deafness, blindness, cripple, that won't exist, no more disease. And everybody's going to be as they were supposed to be from the hand of the Creator when Adam was created. No more need to get tanned, to lay out in the sun. No more need for copper tone. No need to, no, none of that. That's right. Praise the Most High. So, yeah, there's that. All right. So I said all that because today we're talking about what advantage has the Jew, right? So let's go down to Romans chapter 3. What advantage hath the Jew? What does he say then? Well, let's take a look. So when we read chapter 1 and 2, we saw first we saw, of course, the definition of the gospel, right? I am not ashamed of the gospel of Messiah, for it is the power of Yah unto salvation to all that believe, to the Hebrew first and also to the Greek. For therein, that is in the gospel, is the righteousness of the Father revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. Then he went through and started outlining how the unbelieving Hebrews became perverted. And then he was rebuking them for trying to act like they were better than the Gentiles in chapter 2. So now in chapter 3, he comes to this conclusion. Well, then, if this is all true, if they became perverts and create their own religion and looking down on Gentiles when they got no right to do that, what advantage hath the Jew? That's the question. Okay. Chapter 3, let's begin. Romans chapter 3, beginning at verse 1. Romans 3, beginning at verse 1. I'm going to read down to verse 3. What advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there in circumcision? Much every way, chiefly because unto them were committed the oracles of Yahweh. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of Yahweh without effect? This is a very good question. So if Father Yah, as we just read in Isaiah, if he set Israel up, his chosen people, and gave them the land, and gave them the glory and riches of the land, and set them up and overcame all their enemies, if they turn from him, does that make him unrighteous? Does that make him false? If they turn from him, if they start to become greedy, is that the Father's fault? So if the faith of Yah is his righteousness, does his righteousness become weak because they chose to cast it off? Right. No, it doesn't. Right? It does not. And again, the sun shines with a brightness that can blind a person if you look at it. If a person is stupid enough to stare at the sun and lose their sight, is it the sun's fault for being what it is? Or is it the choice of the idiot that decided to stare at the sun? See, it's not the sun's fault that he went blind. It's his choice to become blind. The sun does what it's supposed to do. Okay? So, Mount Everest, many miles tall, Mount Everest, and people go up there to climb it to the top, and many people die every year going up there. Is that Mount Everest's fault? Is that the Father's fault that he made Mount Everest so tall? Did the Father say you must climb it? Or is it the people that made the choice to try to do what he ain't telling them to do and lost their life doing it? If they climbed Mount Everest and there became a storm and the snow came barreling down and just buried them alive and froze them to death, is that Mount Everest's fault? Or was it their choice to go to a place they had no business going? See, people like to blame the creator and point to the creator. Number one, we talked about this earlier because of man-made religion trying to replace the creator. Christianity is a man-made religion. Christianity is not a religion that the Bible speaks of favorably. In fact, it calls it the God of forces, as we read in Daniel chapter 11. It calls it the beast. It calls it the great whore. That's what the Bible calls Christianity. But unless you read it, you wouldn't know. So if you are up in Christianity and you're dissatisfied, well, it ain't the Bible's fault that you didn't read it and you listen to Reverend Doctor whatever. Everybody has choice. Everybody does. You may not even know the creator's name, but you know there's a creator. And somebody would say, well, why does he allow all of this evil to go on? Well, look, let's look at this with a clear head, okay? I think it's pretty obvious that there's evil in the world, right? There are people that murder, kill, rape, innocent young babies and rob and all that, right? There's all that exists. So if there's a creator, he must also have the opposite of him in existence. If he's the righteous creator and he made the earth without pollution and pollution exists, then there must be someone creating pollution to go against what the creator made. The creator had buffalo in the millions on North America, what's now North America. And the Indians would only kill the buffalo for what they needed. And they would pray and thank the animal for giving its life for them. And they would use the buffalo for meat. They would use the skin for coats. They would use the skin also for teepees. And they made houses for themselves. And they used what they needed. When the European came here with his gunpowder, within just a century, there was almost no buffalo. Now, is that the creator's fault that the European came and almost made the buffalo extinct? Is that the creator's fault? And see, if you read the Bible, he says in many places, but one thing he said for sure, he will destroy them that destroy the earth. So he's telling you what he's going to do. He's telling you that evil will not exist forever. He's telling you that. And those that come under the shadow of his wings, not in Christianity, the Bible says it like this, doesn't it? It says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Okay. Let me ask a question. Is the secret place of the Most High, does it describe Christianity as the secret place of the Most High? Does it describe Islam as the secret place of the Most High? Does it describe Judaism as the secret place of the Most High? So if you're dwelling in and you're putting your trust in these religions, you're not under the shadow of the Almighty. Therefore, you are prone to his enemy. You got me? Therefore, you are prone to his enemy. Babies are prone to the decisions of the parents. The ones that have these babies, their decisions are the judgment on the children. Sometimes those children go through the horrific things. The parents will have to pay for that. Okay? So the Most High in his word explains there is an enemy. And he bids us to stay with him. But what the enemy has done is he's created false religions because he's told man he could be a god, and man believed him. And then we, being the original Hebrews of the Bible, we decided to worship other gods aside from our creator. And he told us what would happen if we did that. And behold, it has happened exactly as he said. He also told us that we would come back from that we would return. And behold, we are living proof that that is coming to pass. See? So for those that want to understand the creator, not Christians, not Pentecostals, Islam, Judaism, Talmuds, Mormons. No, if you want to know about the creator, you must understand him, his true people. When you have a clear understanding of who his true people are, then you start to get the truth. Okay? Praise the Most High. So here, Paul said, what advantage hath the Jew? Much in every way, because unto them were committed the oracles of Yah. Again, let's just use one witness for this, but of course we could use more, but let's just use Psalm 147. Psalm 147 and verse 19 and 20. This is Psalm 147, verse 19 and 20. This is the prophet King David. Psalm 147, verses 19 and 20. He says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. As for his judgments, they have not known them. Hallelujah, or hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise Yahweh. So, what advantage have the Jew? He has not dealt so with any nation. He has not given his statutes and judgments to anyone else. So therefore, he has entrusted the bloodline with the statutes and judgments, much every way. And he said, chiefly because unto them was committed the oracles of Yah. What does that mean then, brethren? That means that you cannot really learn of the Creator except it come from the people he ordained to give them his word. Does that make sense, y'all? So if somebody learns from a Hebrew, then they have a chance to learn because only the Hebrews were given his word. Which is why, for example, did y'all hear anything this week about somebody talking about the rapture was going to take place on the 23rd? Did y'all hear that? The rapture was going to take place on the 23rd of September. Did y'all hear that? That was out there this week. The rapture is going to take place on the 23rd of September. That was the thing this week that the Christians came up with. Now, this is the thing, brethren. We understand, but maybe they don't. The Most High ain't giving them not one prophecy. He ain't giving it to them because it's not for them. It's for us, by us, about us, right? It's not for them. So he ain't giving them nothing. If he was to give a European a prophecy, he would be telling them, go to the Hebrews. How do we know that? There was an Italian man in Acts chapter 10 that loved the Father's people and loved his word, but he wasn't bloodline. But the angel was sent and said, go get Peter, and he will tell you what you need to do. So, brethren, that has not changed. If a European wants the truth, pray to your heavenly Father that he send you a bloodline, and you will get the truth. He will answer the prayer. But if you insist, on getting Reverend Doctor or Pastor Brian or, Chucky or whoever, Reverend Chucky, I don't know whoever, you ain't gonna get nothing. You sure not getting no prophecy. You're not getting it. You better catch you a Hebrew. Okay? Reverend, you ain't catching it. See? You may have some dreams and stuff, but your dreams are telling you, go get you a Hebrew. Go find the true guys. Find them and let them tell you the truth. All right. Romans chapter 3. Let's go to verse 4. He answers the question, Yah forbid. Yea, let Yah be true, but every man a liar. As it is written, thou mightest be justified in thy sayings and mightest overcome when thou art judged. But if our unrighteousness commend the righteousness of Yahweh, what shall we say? Is Yahweh unrighteous who taketh vengeance? I speak as a man. So in other words, if he is righteous and all of us are unrighteous and we do unrighteous acts and he punishes us, is that right since he already knows we're unrighteous? And he says he's speaking as a man. Verse 6, Yah forbid. For then how shall Yahweh judge the world? For if the truth of Yahweh hath more abounded through my lie unto his glory, why am I also judged as a sinner, and not rather as we be slanderously reported, as some affirm that we say, let us do evil that good may come, whose damnation is just. Now let me translate this for you. What he's saying is, you heard this before. There's no sin because we're all under grace. Have you heard that one? Don't worry about sin. We're all under the grace. The law is done away with and we're all under grace. Therefore, he's saying, let us do evil that good may come. See that? There you go. He said, whose damnation is just. Why is he saying it so harshly? Because you're misappropriating the word of the Creator. Because you're misrepresenting him while claiming to represent him. Because you are acting on behalf of his enemy, the father of lies, whose damnation is just. That's why. Verse 9. What then? Are we better than they? No, in no wise. For we have before proved that both Hebrews and Gentiles, that they are all under sin. So now he makes it plain. Even though we have been given the oracles, we sinned against the Most High. And the Gentiles, as we have been shown from his other letter to the Ephesians, before they meet the Messiah, the Hebrew Messiah, they are without the Most High and set apart from the commonwealth of Israel and have no hope. So all are under sin. Okay, so all of us are under sin. The bloodline is under sin, and the non-bloodline is under sin. Okay, so we all have the sin problem. All right. Verse 10. As it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none that understandeth. There is none that seeketh after Yahweh. They are all gone out of the way. They are together become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Their throat is an open sepulchre. With their tongues they have used deceit. The poison of asps is under their lips, whose mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their ways, and the way of peace have they not known. There is no fear of Yahweh before their eyes. Now we know that what things soever the law saith is said to them who are under the law, that every mouth may be stopped and all the world may become guilty before Yahweh. So the law causes all of us to become guilty. Now, this stop right here for a minute. Let me say it again. So the law causes all of us to become guilty because obedience to the law is perfection. Breaking the law is sin. Sin is the transgression of the law. So the law makes all of us guilty. Now, this is where the difference between Christians and us who are in the truth of the Hebrew Israelite people. Christians say the law makes us guilty. Let's do away with it. So we're not guilty anymore. Hebrews say the law makes us guilty. Messiah paid the atonement for my sin and my guilt and pours upon me the Father's perfection of righteousness that I might be counted obedient. Do you see the difference? Because this is the difference. Christians say, the law makes me guilty, that bad law. Let's do away with the law. Hebrews say the law makes me guilty. I'm bad. Let the Father receive me in the spirit of righteousness. See, there's two different things. One is taking responsibility and accountability. The other one is blaming the Father. Because when you're blaming his law, you're blaming him. See, they don't think about these things when their false pastors are teaching them this foolishness. But that's it. When you're claiming you're under grace and there's no more law and the law is evil because it make all of us look like sinners, you're blaming the Father. And it's not the Father's fault that we're all sinners. It's our fault. We understand that. And we understand Messiah is the atonement for our sin, not to put away the law. Okay? He's the atonement for our sin. His blood is the atonement, and he stands before the Father on our behalf in his own perfection of moral character, which is righteousness, and the Father pours upon us that perfection as a gift to cause us to walk in his commandments and statutes and judgments. Praise the Most High. Okay. He comes to the conclusion, verse 20. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. So, by obedience to the law, you're not declared innocent because you're already declared guilty. So once you're guilty of sin, there is nothing you can do to change what you have done, to change your character from a sinful one to one that is not sinful. There's nothing you could do. A leopard can't take his spots. Ethiopian that's dark can't make his skin lighter, no matter what lightning they put on it, right? So you can't change that. So you can't. So is it your skin's fault? Is it the leopard spot's fault? You can't change who you are. So what are you supposed to do? Well, it says there's a knowledge of sin and you want to be declared innocent. Verse 21. But now the righteousness of Yahweh without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. Oh, okay. So let's look at this. It says without the law. They said the righteousness of Yahweh outside the law. And it says that this righteousness is borne witness by the law itself and the prophets. So the prophets and the law bear witness to the Father's righteousness. And I believe we understand that part. So the prophets of Yah, which is what he's talking about, the Old Testament, and the law itself, which is Moses, bear witness of the Father's righteousness. So the Father has his righteousness that is borne witness aside from our disobedience. Okay, wait a minute. Verse 22. Even the righteousness of Yahweh, which is by faith of Messiah Yahweh Shah, unto all and upon all them that believe, for there is no difference. So, Father's righteousness, which is the faith of Messiah, it can be given to us and cause us to be accounted as sinless without any deeds. So you can be declared innocent by the Father's righteousness and the Messiah's atonement. Let me stop there. You can be declared innocent from the Father's righteousness and the Messiah's atonement. Now, that does not give you license to continue in sin. In fact, when you think about it, and I like people like this pastor told this story once, and it was a true story. He was running late to his church, and he jumped on the highway because he was running late. He ran out the house, jumped in the car, and he was doing 100 miles an hour in a 60-mile zone. State trooper got him, came up on him, asked him for his license. He left his wallet home, running out the house. All he had was his Bible. And the state trooper said, you ain't got your license, you ain't got your insurance, and you're doing 160? Ooh. So the state trooper went back in his car and came back to the pastor's car, and the pastor said, can you give me some grace? And he had the Bible on the passenger seat, which I'm sure the state trooper saw it. The state trooper said, listen, I'm going to let you go this time, but don't speed. And he said he drove 55 miles an hour all the way to church. So you see, the moral of the story is he broke the law. He was guilty. There's nothing he could do. He did not have his license. He was doing 160. He didn't have no paperwork. He should have been going to jail. Okay, he should have been going to jail. But instead of going to jail, grace was given him. And with that grace, what did he do? He drove 55 miles an hour the rest of the way. He was declared innocent of his crime. That's what grace does. That happened to me once too. I was with two buddies of mine. We wanted to go down to see a basketball game in Atlanta. We was coming from New York, and we was coming down, and I fell asleep. Brother was in the driving, brother was in the passenger side, and I was in the middle seat in the back. It was an SUV. I fell asleep. All of a sudden, I hear him say, "Oh, he's pulling this over." I hear my boy say, "He's pulling this over." I woke up. I said, "What? What's going on?" He said, "Man, cop pulled us over." We was in North Carolina. If you know anything, state troopers in the South, 3 brothers. So, state trooper walked up to the car, asked for the driver's license. Now, I wasn't worried. I said to the state trooper, I'm sitting in the back. I said, "Officer, how fast was?" Because it didn't appear he was going that fast to me. I said, "How fast was he going?" And it was a black state trooper. He looked at me. He said, "What did he say?" He said he asked how fast we was going. He said, "Fast enough to go to jail." So, okay. So he took my man's license. When he's back there checking my man's license, my man's quiet. He comes back and he said, "Did you know this license is suspended?" And then of course my man giving all kind of sob story. And I'm like, I said, "I know this Negro knew his license was suspended. Why he driving?" I'm in the car. So then my boy in the passenger seat, that was my boy Smoke, was in the passenger seat. I said, "Smoke." And he'll say, and the cop said, "I'm gonna let you go if somebody with a license could drive." So I said, "Smoke, you could drive." Smoke said, "My license suspended too." So I said, "I got a license." He checked my license. He said, "You let him drive and I'll let y'all go." And I drove all the way to Atlanta and all the way back. But see, that's grace. It doesn't mean you stay in your sin. It means your sin is forgiven and you are covered in obedience. Obedience is a spirit. See, that's what people get messed up with this thing. It's not saying there's no more sin and you can just go on and do whatever you want. It's saying you've been forgiven of your law breaking. Go and sin no more. Praise the Most High. Okay. This is Romans chapter 3, verse 24, verse 23. "For all have sinned and come short of the glory of Yahweh, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Messiah, Yahweh Shai, whom Yahweh have set forth to be a propitiation through faith in his blood, to declare his righteousness," watch, "for the remission of sins that are past through the forbearance of Yah." That's important that he said past. In other words, you don't got no free pass to go forward in sin now. This is all your past sins. Yah judges us from what is in the past. Your past sins are forgiven. In the present, you've been given obedience, forgiveness, and perfection of righteousness. Go forward in that. Okay, that's what he's saying. Walk in that spirit. Praise the Most High. "To declare, I say, at this time, his righteousness, that he might be just and the justifier of him which believeth in Yahweh Shai. Where is boasting then?" In other words, I'm clean. You can't be yelling like that. "I'm without sin." No. Where's boasting? It is excluded. By what law? Of works? Nay, but by the law of faith. Therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. Is he the Most High of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also. Seeing it is one Most High, which shall justify the circumcision by faith and the uncircumcision through faith. Notice that. The circumcision by faith, because we are the bloodline. We are justified by our own cousin. The Gentiles are justified by him who is not related to them. You understand? Through faith. He's not related to them. We, the Hebrews, are justified by the bloodline of the Messiah because we're in the same bloodline. Gentiles are not in the bloodline. They're justified through faith. But we're all justified. But he makes a distinction. Do we then make void the law through faith? Yah forbid. Yea, we establish the law. See, so the perfection of righteousness that the Father gives us makes us in perfect harmony with his law. It does not say the law is gone. You become perfectly in harmony with his law. In every, whatever the 600 laws are, you're in perfect harmony with him, with the Father's righteousness and justification. And then he works in you to change you so that your character is also in harmony with his, which is in harmony with his law. Praise the Most High. See, so praise the Most High for the truth of the Hebrews. See, Paul was not making this stuff up. This wasn't no, as we know, this wasn't no new doctrine. It was the truth that the Hebrews had lost through man-made religion. All these things that he has here, he quotes the Old Testament, starting with Habakkuk. He quotes Isaiah. He quotes here Psalm. A couple of times he quoted Psalm. All of that is in the Old Testament. They just didn't get it because it was blinded by man-made religion. And man-made religion will blind anybody 100% of the time. Okay? 100% of the time. Praise the Most High. There's no exceptions to that, which is why we say, follow the Creator. Forget man-made religion. Follow the Creator. Ask for his Spirit. Trust the Creator, the one that made the heavens, the one that made the sky, that made the air, that made the trees. Trust him because he can remake you. Praise the Most High. That was chapter 3. May the Most High bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you and lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, nation.